immediately I would have to say Final Fantasy because who who wouldn't want to work with that team? Um, I would have to Highlander half of their staff though, because I want to bring Final Fantasy back to like an ATB gauge style, and I get that that's not where Final Fantasy's going.
How dare you?
I I know.
What was the first video game you owned, and like when did you start playing video games?
Ooh, okay.
Remember
So
the dog.
my family makes a running joke that I basically came out of the womb with a Game Boy, and I actively believe that. I have probably been playing video games since I was 3. I don't even remember the name of it, but there used to be this I'm gonna call it a tablet, but it was a plug-in tablet that you would put on the TV, and it was probably the closest thing they had to Leapfrog back in the day, and you would like color in shapes and just draw pictures on the television, and I thought it was the coolest thing. Um, but my first actual video game, oddly enough, was I want to say for the Sega Genesis, and it was Little Caesar's Palace. Because my dad loved gambling, so he thought that like he could get it for me, but then play the game for me since I knew nothing about it. And the only thing I remember about that game was being so excited to walk up to an ATM and you just had like a little floating hand that could either deposit or withdraw funds. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I'm just going to go into ATMs and click buttons.
So
The first game. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I'm just this. So this game was like it was a gambling game or something, or
It
like
was. It was on Sega. I promise.
just
Look it
a
up right
whole.
now. It was all about gambling, blackjack, other things that's not blackjack, the roulette table. The I still know nothing about gambling, as you can see. Maybe Texas Hold'em. Like you just walked around to different tables, and it was purely a single player game because it was Sega. But the more money you had, you could like move up to high roller tables, and that's how I learned about like tapping and going like this with your hand for no gambling. I don't gamble, but I know I have to go like this if I don't want things now. So video games have been teaching me since
Since
I
the
was an
beginning.
infant.
Since the
Yeah.
beginning.
But my first like major game that I played that I like freaked out over, which I still freak out to this day, was Pokemon.
Oh yeah, I mean that's understandable. Pokemon was huge
God,
back then, and it still is now. Like,
I freaked when what was it? My babysitter's son had like the original Game Boy and had Pokemon, and I didn't understand that like you couldn't have multiple save files because who knew what that was? Like I was maybe 5 or 6 or 7 when Pokemon first came out, and I was given a red Game Boy Pocket and Pokemon Red, so they matched perfectly.
nice.
And Pokemon was like the reason I started reading, and I just got excited for everything. So it's why I love fantasy. It's why I had like an above average reading score for my age. It was just
Now
it
that
was
you mention it,
perfect.
I wonder if that because it was the same thing for me. I was reading like 12th grade level in like 5th grade, and like
Yeah,
now that you say that, like I can't help but wonder if that's partially because of Pokemon. Because this is the same thing. I had a black Game Boy Pocket, but Pokemon Blue as
nice.
well. But like when it was new and it was just that and the car, I went crazy over the cards and everything too. I mean, Pokemon for me was like an obsession almost. It was just
I mean, I still feel like it is. I don't remember when Pokemon cards came out, but I do remember when the second series of Pokemon cards came out, which was called Safari Zone, if you remember, because Kangaskhan was on the front patch, like looking through grass. My family was on vacation in Ocean City, Maryland, and I walked into like a random t-shirt shop and I saw what I thought was like a limited edition rare Pokemon card because like, oh my god, we don't have these back home. it's probably the only time that I ever, like, I'm going to say, like, white kid tantrumed in any type of building. Like, I would not stop screaming until they bought me those cards. And I mean, I got my way, so I mean, moral of the story, like, cry.
It worked, yeah.
I did, and I had to have them. I don't collect them anymore, but I appreciate people who do.
I know we talked about Pokemon, but I also know myself that is not your favorite game. So, what would you like to tell everybody what your favorite game actually is?
Effective drum roll. My favorite game of all time, and if you play it, I immediately love you, is Final Fantasy Tactics. The original. I'll even take Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions. But I said it. No Final Fantasy will ever come close to it. Oh my god, April, yes! I knew we were besties for a reason.
Yeah, you guys.
God, it... For being such a small kid when that game came out, I missed a lot of the story originally because, like, there were just words that were too large for my comprehension, and, like, the whole idea of, like, deific sacrifice and, like, transmuting into, like, these horrible creatures of heaven and hell, like, was way over my head. But it was the first game that literally ever made me cry by the time I got to the end of the game. I actually, I'm gonna get sad.
Oh no,
it's so good. Like, if you have not played Tactics, and you can apparently play it on the mobile. I heard that it's not the best because it's all touchscreen controls. I highly encourage you to download a ROM if you have the ability to and play it, or buy a PlayStation Portable or a Vita just to buy the remake and love it.
Yeah, I do agree that it needs, like, a full remake.
I would lose my shit if they ever remade that game.
Or even, like, a Switch port. Like, why not just port it to Switch or something? We have almost
no sense.
Almost every other Final Fantasy game is on Switch now, so, like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make
sense. Port everything to the Switch. Switch is actually just a port whore. It has no original games. Breath of the Wild, what?
Yeah, all those Mario games? No, that's just, those are old. It's just the same thing over and over again, right? Like,
I will say, though, for the audience that is English as a second language, if you're still having a harder time with some English phrasings, the original PlayStation one I find is easier to digest because it was, what is the word? Translated to be, I would say, a little bit more modern as far as English was concerned. War of the Lions takes it back to a little bit more like Shakespearean text, so it's more of like a period piece. But both are fantastic, and there's no major difference aside from that. April asks the hard-hitting question, what is my favorite job class? Ooh. If we're talking tactics specifically, Summoner, hands down. Despite being a healer main when it comes to, like, most MMOs and everything, my original love was always for black magic and everything witchy. So, like, VV, of course, is Bay for, like, Final Fantasy IX standards. But I actually went through Tactics as Summoner, as making, like, your lead character Summoner. And for anyone who doesn't know anything about Final Fantasy Tactics, there are 3 areas in that game where it's just a hard skill check stop, and you actually have to fight a god, basically, just as your main character. And mine was a Summoner. I could not outmaneuver. I died consistently. I actually had to start the entire game over because it was not physically possible to do it as a Summoner, at least. And now it's why anytime, like, I play like a solo player game and they're like, hey, you want to heal? no, I learned my lesson from Tactics. I'm not falling for that again.
What? Yeah, why would they make it? I don't know. So what? It's because you're a healer, you don't have the offensive capability to get through it, or something.
His overall movement speed was one through the roof, and Tactics, and I could be totally off base, but like fight me for it. Tactics to me kind of like set the tone for a lot of tactical RPGs that came out afterwards. But and I know that you're a big Tactics Advanced lover yourself. In Tactics Advanced, when you would cast magic, it was instant. Like you had to rectify everything around your character because you had friendly fire. But with regular Tactics, it was not. It depended on your character's speed, so it was much more, I'll say, Dungeons and Dragons oriented on the back end of things. So sometimes your summon spells would take up to 9 turns to fully rectify. Meanwhile, like the boss is literally just like sitting there like smacking you in the face, and you did it without help. So it was just like mano a mano, and it was not possible without cheating.
Interesting. Why would they make it take 9 turns? That's insane. That's an insane amount of time to do. Although, I mean, if the summons were like, you know, like Final Fantasy 15 summons where they're just like huge and game changing, then like
right,
9 turns is fair. But oh shit, we got a hydrate. Thank you, Nova. Thank you. Other question is, who is your favorite playable character?
Ooh, okay. So if it's playable characters, that doesn't mean the ones that you're recruiting from taverns. So that's going to be story characters. Okay, so I had an immediate love of Agrias, just because she was so boss and cocky and everything in between. So she was just amazing. But the one guy who I don't remember the name of, sadly, he was one of the twins. I know Rafa was the girl, but he had like Destiny Stop or something, and he'd throw his hands up to the sky. He basically set the table for Astrologian in 14, as a fun fact. And he would spin the entire map around, and he would do map-wide either buffs or debuffs. So it hit everyone, but the chance of it hitting was like % depending. He was the absolute coolest. Completely underutilized and weak as shit. Like would die almost immediately, but he was a game changer. Yeah, April, me too. No lie. Horrible luck.
Well, especially if you're a solo summoner, apparently.
Yeah, just me.
They really should give you like a disclaimer about that kind of thing or something. Like,
I remember them doing it in the remake. Like, you're about to enter something that's going to take 6 battles, and if you get boned here, you're stuck forever. You want to use a different save file?
Cool, the entire enemy team is now super fast, and I'm silenced and stopped.
It was the worst. Who needs a time mage when you have this dude?
If given the option, work on a development team for any game, which game or company would you work with, or on or with? I mean, or both. I mean, either way.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. So I have like a top 3. Immediately, I would have to say Final Fantasy, because who wouldn't want to work with that team? I would have to Highlander half of their staff though, because I want to bring Final Fantasy back to like an ATB gauge style, and I get that that's not where Final Fantasy is going.
Dare you?
I know. To me, that's like best genre of Final Fantasy.
I'm like a full turn-based stan, so
I mean, I'll give you a 10 redo.
I don't like the Yeah, see, I like that. I don't like
Yeah.
the pressure that comes with the ATB and everything. It's like, oh my god, I gotta move. I gotta like 10-2 wasn't terrible because it gave you the option to like, you know, play it really slow if you wanted to. But
yeah, I just don't want another Final Fantasy 15, and that doesn't mean I'm not a Final Fantasy 15 stan. I have not played it, unfortunately. I just mean that when I think of 15, it makes me think of Kingdom Hearts from a combat standpoint. And I get that it's more evolved and fleshed out, but I either want something where you have the option of switching between turn-based and active, kind of like a Dragon Age hybrid, if you would, or like a Knights of the Old Republic hybrid, or I just want something ATB like 9 or turn-based, like you said, like 10.
I want to say the 7 remake gave you the option to do it either way, or like gave you the
I think
I think it was
down.
I think
magic.
You could do the action like it was in 15, or you could do ATB like it was with original 7. I think. I've only played through that game one time, so I would nobody quote me on that, but yeah, you can switch. Okay, confirmed. We got a confirmed idea that yeah, you can pick which way you'd rather play it. So I mean, something like that seems like a good compromise. Like, you know, get a little bit of something in there for everyone.
Yeah, because you don't have to sacrifice on graphics or how you're doing it. I mean, especially with the types of video game engines that are out now, like, you can really accomplish a lot. And I think that way it kind of makes everyone a little bit happy, and they don't feel the need to like separate their time for games like Bravely Default 2, which I'm still playing, but is more chibi and old school Final Fantasy. I would rather just them push forward with all their energy and like put all their ducks into like one genre and just really like hammer it into people. But I would want to work for them because I'm gonna slip queer characters into the forefront of those games, and it's gonna be awesome, and we're gonna have good, great, amazing representation in like a mainstream video game, and it's just gonna be like the LGBTQ plus community is just gonna stand and be like, yes, this is gonna be great. Otherwise, I want to work for Pokemon because I just want to make dumb little creatures like Klefki. Like what? A Pokemon that just collects keys?
That one's God, that's such. Or Luvdisc. Yeah, you could make the next Luvdisc.
Luvdisc needs an evolution, which I think should be called Fuck Frisbee. No. Could you imagine?
Oh my god.
It's canon now. Somebody call Game Freak. We got ourselves a winner.
Oh my god. The Fuck Frisbee. But it's got to have the Mary evolution somewhere in there too, like a Mary plate, you know, like Luvdisc, Mary plate, Fuck Frisbee. Fuck Frisbee would be my favorite Pokemon.
Same. I need everyone to come to a consensus on the typing of Fuck Frisbee.
I don't even want to know what that would look like. Like the mental image there is
I also need us to vote on what Fuck Frisbee's signature move would be.
Fuck Frisbee.
I'm personally thinking Fuck Puck, but just shoot like little hockey pucks. Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh my god, all the spellings. You guys are giving me life. Thank you.
That's like early morning. It's fine if you can't stay for the whole thing. I appreciate you being here, like no matter how long you can stay or when you want to be here, that's all good. It's all good. There's no pressure. No pressure. Harden. Oh god. Water gun, Harden.
Oh my god. Defensive water typing. I like it. So now we need to know if it's frisbee, is it fairy, is it
Protect.
something in between?
Yeah, I would never use that move on fuck frisbee, Christian. I would never use protect. Ever. Oh my god. And then if you don't ever use protect, it could be a poison type. Fairy poison typing. It's never been done. I mean, fairy poison's never been done because those two things are counterintuitive because fairy's weak to poison, so.
We're going to do it, and that Pokemon will be Starbucks Barista. Yeah.
Wow.
I can say it.
Jesus.